clothing. Dress used to have an undercut made like cut, with a yoke or light colors. Puffed lace belts. Old Hollywood evening dress, black lace, sleeveless, long dresses, and with undercut. Casual sportwear, skirts, spike, shirts, three-piece knife, shirts. Transport. The first group appear, although they used to very good different from the group one. They were a large car with a room about 5 people. They never had fixed road and operate more like a taxi service. Babylon invasions. In 1931, Flores Benson launched its frozen products and red market fruit invade chocolate chips and chocolate chip cookies. Fiberglass came out to maker in the same year, and Julius Neuckland, he was first to produce the synthetic rubber new brandy. Relevant artists is Robert Johnson, Louis Armstrong, and Bill Holiday. Toys. The popular toys in 1931 included yo-yos, wonder wagons, pick-up sticks, and bats. Whitster wonder plates with rubber balls attacked the big builder card. These usually cost between 10 and 25 cents. Bicycles used to very popular with some kill boiling. There are scooters and the orange boxers. And water play wells. Children often played with metal soldiers and mechanics. Games. A series of arcade games were deployed in 1913 that still exist today. Squid we created in the early 1930s, and Monopoly was released in 1935. Checkers and chess and reading tools were also often played. Open the games such as Simon Says or the game of hiding and Wick were also popular, partly because they were free and because we played anywhere and anymore. Gastronomy, they ate a lot of legumes, vegetables, meat, and wines. Daily and recreational activities, general entertainment. Always television did us to be whispered in the 1930s, so children sometimes listening to various serials, such a comedy, Almond and Andy, and the drama Empire World there. Children also used to read comics, including newspaper stripe series such as Mickey Mouse, and which began in 1930. The Action Comics magazine used to be very popular and featured the debut of the Superman in 1938, using the so-called Golden Age for the comics.
All right. In the year 1940, the clothing a very famous type of dress was the draped dress. All right, and even the skirts had no more than 2 inches of hem, the same fabric. The women's wardrobe consisted of one-piece dresses, skirts, blouses, and dress, using undergarments such as corsets and bras that are more reinforced and shortest. Okay. The principal relevant artist was, for example, Gary Cooper, Burt Lancaster, and Orson Welles. All right, the relevant inventions in those years was, for example, in 1941 the aerosol, in the 1942 the nuclear reactor, and missiles. 1945 the computer, 1945 too the atomic bomb, in the 1947 the transistor, the 1948 the microwave oven, and the 1948 too the acetate disc. Okay, in the the transport was, for example, the cruise ships and the aircraft and the trains. Okay. The daily and recreational activities. In the old days, people didn't used to have internet and technology, so they would talk in the street, go to see movies, play soccer, and listen to the radio. Alright. The gastronomy in 1940. Alright, in 1940, the health authority considered that the diet of Mexican was one of the main cases of their poverty and backwardness. The low consumption of calories and proteins in addition to the lack and hygiene caused that workers and patients didn't use attend or fulfill their work due to illness. All right. Okay. Therefore, the state undertook the task of teaching against malnutrition. The doctors considered that the improvement on the hygiene condition and increase in the consumption of animal protein will facilitate the progress of the nation by creating healthy, disciplined, and productive workers. The article explores nutrition discourses and the role of the woman in the implementation of public places, concentrating on nutrition surveys and the life history of a visit nurse. The trains. And the food. Okay. The fashion of Mexico City, the decade of color, with the polka dots, stripes, and flowers. Fashion in Mexico has had great foreign influence. It included, besides that, the terms aesthetics, fashion, architecture, design, and even literature. It looked a long time emerging in Mexico as a pure drive, one that was born on top of the roots associated with the Mexican imagination. That is why we can recognize that the garments, clothes, coats, and accessories, there is an adoption of the patterns, shapes, and figures that were produced in Europe. Alright. In the 15th and 60s, France and Spain were the main countries generating authentic proposals for pieces to wear. The mix of trends, mass production, the construction of textile factories in the country gave a turn to the industry, causing to the impossible to detect which line was starting and which was the way to go in the terms of visual aesthetic evolution. However, there are stark differences between that people wore as clothing in 15th and 16th. Okay, the relevant artist was Augusto Álvarez Garcia, famous architect from the 15th, built the Latin American Tower. Agustin Hernandez Navarro, famous architect from the 15th years, right? Built the Folk Ballet School. Luis Barragan, famous architect in the 15th, built the Satellite City Towers. Okay, the principal invents, for example, the control pistols created in 1956, creating in 1956 56. I'm sorry so much. Assistant author of Augusto Alvarez. Color television. The first color transmission were made in at Alameda Cinema. There is no author name or image about him. Okay. The indelible ink. There is no author and there is no photos for him. All right. The pique. It was a stick that measured about 40 and 50 centimeters with a pointed end, like a pencil. All right, like a pencil. Each of had its home, indifferent, indefinite, and with a lot of mud. Logically more abundant in the winter, since it was a game of this time of year. June of the Donkey. It was a child games the girls never played. One of the participants was placed crouching, acting as a donkey, maintaining stability with his hands resting on his neck. The other champions jumped on him with their legs spread to pass to the other side. I was going to see the program at cinema. Gastronomy. Okay, the principal gastronomy was the rice pudding, the enchiladas, and chalupas. Rice pudding, the color television, Augusto, and the dress.
Clothing. V-bottom became fashionable during V-1960. Men and women wore thin and were a symbol of the hippie movement. These 1960 garments has remained popular over time and is still in fashion. African blouses became fashionable with the hippie movement. Relevant artists. The Beatles, the Doors, the Rolling Stones. Relevant inventions. Cassette tape. You sure have great memories associated with a cassette tape. Internet. I used to say goodbye to Big the cat. Something happened that will change. Some years later. The big way of the communication among the majority of the inhabitants of the planet. Transport. Traditional and during the first decade of century, the transport of new automobiles to 3 points of sale of delivery was carried out in two main ways, either with the vehicles themselves rolling or in open railway wagons. The gradual improvement of heavy means of transport, B-roads and T-roads, the service and the need to provide more immediacy to deliveries, caused of our country to begin transporting new bicycles B-road in the early 1960. Daily and recreative activities. The 1950 athletes a series of scenes of modernity in Mexico City, large multi-family housing and busing buildings, wide avenues with circulation of private cars and public transport, new household appliances such as blender, toaster, television, and radio, the national cinema, and also architects. Great moments during the time. In short, a new way of life was remaining for the inhabitants of Mexico City. Appetizers. Appetizers from 1950 typically consist of wafer, bacon, or cakes. Fruit cups and melon bites. Vegan is 1950 and its ball shaped. Sausage cheese, ham, and eggs balls was considered popular during its time. In 1960, entrées consist of space, eggs, and small pizzas. At this time, fondue was the best at dinners. Soup and salads. Soup and salads of the 1950 and 1960 were made from cream and butter. The best
car, the Rolling Stones, and for example, that's the hippie clothes.